Quick Tech Talk with your host, Michael Anderson.
Hello, folks. This is the Quick Tech Talk podcast where we discuss cutting edge and future technologies. I'm your host, Michael Anderson, and today we are joined by Daniel Sloan, co-founder of Future Tech, Blockchain Saw, and many other technology companies. Today we're talking about Akon's dive into cryptocurrency and the buzz around his latest project, a crypto-powered smart city in Senegal. Daniel, thank you for joining.
Oh, it's always great to be here, Michael.
So tell me more. How did you get connected with Akon in the first place, and why did he choose to work with you and your team?
It's an interesting journey. Obviously, the crypto space is still pretty young, and everybody kind of knew everybody back in 2016, 2017, and Ryan Scott, who is and ended up becoming a friend of mine, was working very closely with Akon. He lives in LA, and when the whole concept around creating a cryptocurrency, he said, the reason I called you is you're the expert, you know about this stuff, and I need someone that knows what they're doing. They were looking at a number of different companies, and it just so happens, it's kind of funny that my partners in Future Tech, Akubits, were one of the companies that we were actually up against for doing the project. So it's kind of come full circle, right? He was really just looking at kind of the best of the best from a recommendation standpoint. So it ended up being, my company, Akubits, and a couple others. But, I got to sit down with them and said, here's who I am, here's what I'm about, and here's what I'm going to do. And, this is how I operate. And if you don't operate within the same level of integrity and different things, because I didn't really know much about Akon at the time other than his music, and, that he had a charity doing Lighting Africa. But, I guess there were just so many little celebrity kind of hoax projects that were going on. And I just told him categorically, I'm not going to be involved in that, and that's what I said to him. And, he wasn't taken back on it at all. And he goes, I wouldn't want you to be. Yeah. And getting to know him and over these past 2.5 years, I have to say, he's a man of the highest integrity, very spiritual as well, which I love about him. And his desire to do this came out of social impact and good. And so I was really excited as we got going along in this, that this wasn't just hey, here's another way for a celebrity to capitalize on their name and make a quick buck. His goal was really to make a deep impact amongst the people, because Senegal is where his family's from. And so he's from Senegal, and, he's a favorite son of Africa, if you will. And, I think, when you look at his 10 years of bringing power to Africa and that whole Lighting Africa initiative, I mean, I say to people, actions speak louder than words, right? Right. You bring hundreds of millions of dollars of electricity to a country through a charitable organization. You don't really need to say much more about a guy.
Yeah, he seems great. And, you mentioned there were a number of celebrities that were kind of buzzing about cryptos and trying to leverage their celebrity and fame to get some traction and make a quick buck, but you don't hear them still talking about crypto. And now Akon has certainly become a front runner in that space in regards to celebrity. So I think that you made a wise partnership in working together. So help me understand a little bit more about what the impact of cryptocurrency can be on developing countries in Africa.
Certainly. So for people that really aren't aware of Africa, and it was a big learning experience for me as well, right? You and I, we go to the store, we pull out our wallet, we're either pulling out a credit card or some cash, right? You, in Africa, I would say a large part of the economy, they don't trust their governments. There's 54 different countries in Africa. And I think the one thing they all have in common is they all don't trust their governments. And they don't actually use the currency of their countries. They actually use prepaid minutes. So remember back in the day when we used to have prepaid cards and we used to go to the for cell phones and things like that, that's what they use for currency. Wow. So they'll actually, if I owe you money, I'll come and I'll transfer you some minutes. I'll pay you in minutes. So if I owe you $10, I'll pay you $10 in prepaid cell minutes. And so when we looked at how can we impact this country, well, there's really no way to get and be involved in the digital economy that way, right? You know,
Right.
jump online. How are you going to jump on and pay for something online with minutes?
Yep.
It's not really a way to do it. So through Akoin, the cryptocurrency, and through one of the partnerships with BitMinutes, and we're actually talking with M-Pesa and some of the other companies that are actually, you know, minutes cryptocurrency based, people that have prepaid cell minutes are actually going to be able to atomic swap those into Akoin. So now they can actually have Akoin as a cryptocurrency. And since Akoin is going to be traded on an exchange very soon, and IEO is coming up any week now, somebody that actually gets Akoin, they can either turn that back into minutes and use it there. They can use it on the platform, or they can actually turn around and sell it. It actually has, you know, cash value, to where with minutes, you know, you're just only people that want the minutes from you.
Yeah.
It's usable.
Yeah. That's amazing. So people will be able to use that at a point of sale system and transacting with one another, and have some currency stability where they wouldn't otherwise have because of corrupt governments.
Yeah, obviously with cryptocurrency being built on blockchain, right? And blockchain being an immutable ledger, you now have this whole transactional history, right? So it's interesting because the first use case that I was presented with doing blockchain in Africa was actually drilling for oil with Exxon. And apparently there's some mass corruption in Africa. And, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, you want to drill for oil over here, but, you know, where's my $10 million on the side to go ahead and, you know, maybe grease the wheels? And there was just a lot of money, you know, being spent here and corruption there, to where the idea was if the entire project was paid for in a cryptocurrency, then everything is accountable for, right? And you could basically say to the people that were trying to be corrupt, how do you steal something in front of a security guard? You can't, right? You have to be in a dark place. You have to be somewhere where people aren't looking, and blockchain and I have no way to pay you. This is all being paid for with cryptocurrency. So if I send you $10 million, it's going to be shown, it's going to be seen right there. And people are going to say, why did they send this guy $10 million? So that was kind of a use case that I first saw for it. And then now when I started looking at Akoin, it's like, people are going to be able to trust the currency, right? Again, if you don't trust the government, they really love Akon, and they're going to trust, you know, that everything that we're saying that the currency can do and how you can use it is actually going to come about. And again, being blockchain, that takes away the whole potential for corruption. And that's really what they want. They just want to be able to transact and trust, you know, what they have.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what we all want. And I think it's a luxury sometimes we forget in some of the more developed countries. So Forbes just published an article about the multi-billion-dollar grant Akon just won to build a smart city in Senegal. Can you tell us a little bit more about what is a smart city and how it works?
Certainly. So the thought process around a smart city is, you know, the urban planning is like, you know, meticulous, right? You're bringing in some of the best technology in the world. So, you know, IoT smart devices, your infrastructure for your public transportation. You know, I'm sure you've seen like, you know, think of like, I don't know if you've seen the Marvels movie where you've seen Wakanda, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like what the thought of a smart city is, right? Like this huge futuristic Wakanda. Akon talks about it all the time, how he wants to make, you know, the modern day Wakanda in Senegal. He's from Senegal. He's got a very close relationship with the government there. He actually was gifted 2,000 acres of land to build the city, right? So was given the land by the government. It's all going to be as locally sourced as possible they can. They're, you know, they've got the money to start building now. So all the contracts are signed. And I think that's why the Forbes and so many other places are writing about it, because, you know, again, a lot of celebrities talk trash. Like, I can do this, I can do that. But, you know, contracts are signed, money's there, you know, it's going to be getting built.
Yeah.
And part of the Smart City Initiative and why we're doing Akoin is Akoin will be the coin of the realm. So you'll buy your gas with it, you'll pay your electricity, everything that you do inside of that city will be used with Akoin.
That's wonderful. And so do they have plans to expand beyond that, right? Beyond the city? If I wanted to travel outside of the city or, outside of Senegal, is the hope that you could transact with Akoin in other countries as well?
Yeah, this was never just an Africa only vision, right? It was really like, this is our test bed. This is where we're going to do this. And actually, Akoin will start being used in Mwale, which is a smart city in Kenya, in probably a month or so. They're in the process of signing people up that want to be part of this proof of concept project. And so the idea is that, Akoin City is going to take a little while to build, right? The technology is there. We can start using it now. And Akon knows the billionaire that's behind this smart city. And so when he shared his vision for Akon, he's like, well, I own a smart city. Why don't we use it here? And so he's like, yeah, we could do that. So, kind of funny how all these things happen, right? So, very soon we'll have a test case for that. And I'm told that the Kenyan government is actually overseeing and looking at the project, because apparently they want to outlaw paper money because it potentially transmits COVID and obviously. So I was actually quite surprised, because as we all just talked about, most governments in Africa seem to be a little corrupt. So for them to want to adopt a digital currency, maybe that's their way of saying, hey, you don't trust the paper money. How about we have a digital currency that you can trust? So again, I don't know. That's kind of a rumor. That's just what I've heard, but it's interesting if it comes to pass.
Yeah, well, that certainly makes me, and I'm sure many others, optimistic about the future of Africa and the economies of their countries. I think we'd all love to see them become a more major player in the global economy, right? And just lift us all up through their contribution. Daniel, thank you so much for joining today.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it as always. Talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye.